Hey there, Internet. Our Felix Finch here, and welcome to another episode of Underground Lucha Things, the Lucha Underground podcast, where I, somebody who really should know better, but didn't, but now does, and now regrets the decision, never watched Lucha Underground, but I will go through it episode by episode as I discover it for the first time, along with my friend from the Isle of Hawaii, the one, the only, Angie FN from Midcard Mana. Angie, how you doing today?
Bing, bing. I am good. Thank you again for having me, especially for such a momentous episode of Lucha Underground and Underground Lucha Things.
Yeah, this is episode this is season 1 episode 32. All night long, all night. All night long, all night. Well, at least the night of June 17th, 2015. And I totally forgot that this is going to be a one match show or one show match, however you want to look at it. Literally, they don't put up a time limit on it. They just say it's one match for the duration of the show, and the most pinfalls wins the championship. So this will be interesting to go through. It's gonna break from my normal kind of gonna break from my normal sort of thing, where I'm gonna kind of talk about things up to certain falls. So spoiler, there are multiple falls in this match, and we'll discuss kind of the in between of the falls. But it starts out Johnny Mundo versus Prince Puma, one match, one show, and they start the match kind of with rules under the code of honor. A good handshake, an intense stare down of a handshake, but a good handshake nonetheless. And they are filling each other out with some quiet chain, reminding me of watching the opening of an NJPW match, especially like the crowd is quiet as they do it, and there's like grip, 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 break, like very light clapping, grip, 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 chain, 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 single bump, escape, and clapping again. It's the match. The match does end up going to the outside with a great exchange between Mundo, where Johnny lands a sweet parkour flip on the outside, but Prince Puma is the one that actually connects with his good lucha thing. And when we come back from break, they do show a timer in the lower right-hand corner before clearing the action, and Prince Puma is able to get the first pin with a quick victory roll cazador. He is now up on Mundo with Puma 1, Mundo 0. How'd you like this opening, Angie?
I really liked it, and one thing that you mentioned that I think really nailed it, and I think really described it very well, is very New Japan. They start off. I mean, both these guys are baby faces currently in the company. And both these guys, even though there's usually a heel face dynamic in a match, both these guys are going to be faces going in and throughout the match. And you see that with how they treat each other, with that show of respect, the handshake, with how they know each other so well too throughout the match, throughout this segment of the match, I guess I should say. And they really have such a good chemistry. And even without the timer at first, and without getting too far into this match, you can already tell that this match is going to be big for both of them. And it's going to it has, and I can't believe I'm mentioning this in regards to a match, but the match itself, along with these two guys, but the match itself has just gravitas. You know what I mean? And it feels like a match that you won't get bored of. Maybe as time goes on, you'll start to feel different, but the hype in the very beginning of the match, there's just a lot of energy in it.
No, for sure, and they're doing a good job pacing it. They're
Yes.
taking their time with this match. It's not just all at once. So good job. Mundo does try to get a quick pin with a pair of attempts after a neckbreaker. And his key to this fall is control. He tries to exert control over Puma, which doesn't serve him well whenever he separates from his opponent. And even though both men have moments of brilliance against each other, the actual pinfall is amazing as Puma seems to catch Mundo to prevent him from hitting the end of the world, but Mundo actually traps Puma's leg and uses the ropes to get the pin. Although it's right in front of Marty Elias, and Marty really should have seen that he was holding onto the ropes from that angle. But you know what? Marty counts it. Oh no! You know what? I guess there's no rules in this match. There's no disqualification, so I guess the ropes are okay. So yeah, it's the pinfall's awarded and it's tied up. Puma won, Mundo won. Like Puma, the announcers don't seem to like recognize that, so that confused me as well. Now that I'm thinking about it now, I'm like, oh okay. You know, there was no disqualification. Maybe that's why. I don't know.
Because it was definitely very. As I was watching, I was like, wait. I'm like, does this count or not count because it's no DQ? I don't recall matches with no DQ where this sort of thing has counted or has even come up. So I was just like, maybe that's it. So yeah, it definitely took me a second too to be like, this is okay, I guess. Or he made a huge mistake. Either way, that ties the action right up at 1-1.
Yeah, and you know what? I was just thinking because, like, again, like there was a fun moment when Jericho went to NJPW a couple years ago for Wrestle Kingdom the first time, where there was a no disqualification match, and Red Shoes was counting the rope break, and he's like, "There's no disqualifications." But at least the rules, as far as I understand them, you can use the ropes. You won't get disqualification, but you can't get a pin because part of you is outside of the ring. That's the logic of the rope break to me. But you know what? Let's skip over that. The next round starts a bit faster and gets more strike heavy, and I realize that we really haven't seen either guys go super flippy and wild yet. There's a little fun boo yay spot in the corner of the ring, and a headbutt allows Puma to Rana Johnny to the outside. Johnny ends up grabbing a box, a chair, and a crowbar from underneath the ring. And even though Johnny's the one that gets put through the box, the crowd clearly wants tables. And I forgot that there are no disqualification because Johnny Mundo just baseball bats Prince Puma with a crowbar, bending it like he hits him to the point where it bends the crowbar, and leaves Puma just like completely knocked out. Johnny Mundo rolls him back into the ring and pins him, giving him the second fall.
And I just gotta say, Vampiro's selling of the brutality, how stoked he is about it and how much passion he talks about it and like gets excited. He's like, I want to get hit somebody with a chair, man. It's like, it reminds me of how I feel when I get super into matches that matter to me, where I'm just like really amped up and I'm like, yeah. Or even and this is a sillier example, but like in mosh pits, when everyone's in the pit, jumping around, running into each other and shoving each other, that same sort of excited energy, I really felt it. I really related to Vampiro in that moment. Just the level of excitement and just giddiness in his voice was so good.
Yeah, and we see Johnny Mundo immediately hit a Moonlight Drive and get a third pin on Puma to bring it up to 3-0, which I think is very smart. And
3-1.
Sorry, 3-1. Thank you. And Mundo quickly pulls Puma to the corner and gives him an end of the world to get yet another pin. And the score is now 4-1. And I love that Mundo starts. He's like, I'm parched. Get some water. Has a water bottle handed to him for this. I think that's also one of the smartest things I've seen done in an Iron Man match.
Oh yeah, and definitely getting a lot more of the confident Johnny Mundo that people are used to. He has a 3-pin lead. For Christ's sake, he's definitely now feels like he's running away with it. And so you see a little bit more of that swagger that you've seen before back when he was John Morrison or Johnny Nitro. And I like it. I like that little callback, especially because, like how I mentioned at the very beginning of us talking about this match, these two guys going in were both very solidly face. So getting to see him sort of pull a little bit more away from that and show, you know, his sort of, I know I've said cockiness a bunch, but his cockiness really, I think, helps to divide that up a little bit more and give people these really two very different contrasting characters. Johnny Mundo, who has a lot of swagger and attitude, and Prince Puma, who, I mean, people who are just watching the wrestling portion of this maybe don't get this as much as we do, but as we watch it back or watch it for the first time or watch it back, seeing that difference of Mundo, who has a lot more outward personality and extroverted personality and that sort of flashiness, versus Puma, who, because he hasn't ever spoken for himself, comes across to me as very sort of withdrawn, solitary, perhaps humble, because it's never him that's saying that he's great, right?
Right.
So I like that. I really like that, and I especially, you know, with how I've talked about how much Prince Puma does the non-verbal acting, a lot more physical acting with his eyes. Yeah, that contrast just stands out even more. Then it makes you know, like, very, very definitively who you want to cheer for and who you want to boo or not cheer for.
Yeah, it's it again. This is just such a well done match, and we get into now some like real storytelling of it. We get into a nice, real meaty part of it because Puma is able to fight back against the charging Mundo twice, and even deliver a fierce DDT, just spiking Johnny, buying time for himself. Mundo does seem to regain control with a neck breaker draped onto the apron, which is the hardest part of the ring. And there's about 20 minutes left when we come back from break, and Mundo is grabbing a ladder and expertly jousts it into the face of Prince Puma. Johnny then takes his sweet ass time setting up. Oh, the ladder hurt you to watch.
I'm clumsy, and I walk into things, trip, hit stuff all the time. So anytime I just see that sort of impact, I just, my body just sort of like, I just have a very visceral reaction to it as I remember similar things that I've gone through.
Yeah, and like I said, Johnny takes his sweet ass time to set up the tables on the outside. Puma is put onto those tables, and while Johnny climbs onto into the believers, Puma resurrects and takes flight into the crowd. And it hurt me to see Mundo suplexed onto the platform of the stairs because those concrete stairs probably are no-selling bastards. And Puma sets up a second set of tables on top of the other two. Mundo climbs up to the band area and grabs a mic. Like he's able to, Mundo's able to like stop Puma real quick. Then he climbs up into the band area, grabs a mic, and says that the score's four to two, 4-1. So why would he continue fighting? He's like, and has the band plays the music. Puma starts climbing up. Mundo tries to hit him with a 2x4, which gets turned back on him. And then Mundo gets El Kabonged with a guitar from the band that Puma was wielding. And Puma spears Mundo off the platform, setting himself and Mundo through the tables. And they zoom in on Mundo, and we see him bleed. That he's bleeding from his head. When we come back, we also see that they broke through the chain up there to spear through. Puma is able to get up, drags Mundo back into the ring, and pins him. So now Puma 2, Mundo 4. That was just a hell of a section there.
Yeah, and it felt, I don't know, I guess I should say I have a lot of mixed feelings about this because it was such a hard fought second pin for Puma, whereas Johnny Mundo was able to get several in succession who knows if Puma will be able to do the same. Maybe he will, maybe he won't. But at this juncture, it felt very much like a rewatch, I guess I should say. It reminded me of that scene in Avengers Infinity War. Let me enunciate so people know what the hell I'm saying. Where Thanos goes, all that for a drop of blood. You know what I mean? It felt like the efforts were uneven. So it made me definitely root much more for Puma, because of, you just see him go through all of this to finally get pin number 2, which means that he's halfway there.
Yeah, and a battle-worn Puma and Mundo just battle it out, start trading shots, and Puma's able to get a quick pin by hitting a spinning driver onto Mundo, and now it's Puma 3, Mundo 4. So Puma is a house of fire right now. He's only down by 1. And Johnny Mundo flees Puma, making his way into the Believers, forcing Puma to chase him around the ring. Like, he's basically just trying to run out the clock. Puma is eventually able to knock Johnny down in the ring, but when he goes for this Phoenix Splash, Mundo gets out of the way and makes his way up the stairs. And when he reaches the top, suddenly he's hit by somebody, and it's Alberto El Patron, who attacks Mundo and kicks him back down the stairs, throws him around, and throws him back into the ring for Prince Puma, who gets Mundo with a springboard 450 to tie it up. So now it's Puma 4, Mundo 4. Things are getting excite.
Yeah, definitely. And I always feel very weird talking about Alberto Patron in a positive light because of the monstrous things he's done in his life since this has happened. But I cannot deny that the man knows how to portray himself well in a lot of cases. He's able to hold the mask pretty well, and he does a pretty good job here as far as getting people hyped about him. You know what I mean? And his whole thing of like, oh yes, I'm here, Johnny, if you win, we got unfinished business. I'm coming for you. Puma, if you win, I'm also coming for you. But you guys already know that. Hey. And like, it's definitely very interesting. And one of the things that I've had an interesting time with on this watch through, knowing now what I did not know about him back then.
Right. And
so, not to be a downer, but yeah, that's definitely something. And it's sort of the elephant in the room, as they say, whenever El Patron comes on.
I feel like we might run into some other people later on in this show. So who knows?
Who knows?
But Alberto El Patron actually jumps on the mic and starts saying that, right now the match may be even, but Patron and Mundo, they are far from even, and he's coming for that title if he wins tonight. But hey, if Puma retains it, he's also coming for the title. I don't know how. I mean, Mills going for the number 1 contendership with Drago. It's just, let's not think about how the hell the title's supposed to work right now. Everybody wants it, though. That's good. That's a good thing that everybody wants the title. But Puma and Mundo have a great exchange for the next minute where they're just kicking out of pinning combinations on the other with neither man able to finish the job. Even a standing Spanish fly isn't enough for Mundo to be able to win it. Mundo tries to hit a Rana on Puma in the corner, but Puma just walks out, making him just drop and flip off. he just joink, and Puma is able to return with a drop kick and land probably the best 630 I've ever seen him hit, because he lands it with his back completely on the chest of Mundo. He doesn't just hit him with the back of his head. And Puma gets the pin, making it 5-4, and the match ends 5 seconds later. And the crowd chants, "That was awesome," for a match that was, to be fair, quite awesome. Angie, I let's ask you about the match and the show because it's the same thing.
Yeah, I especially that final scramble after El Patron helped to tie things between the two guys. That final scramble really felt desperate on both their parts. You know, we've seen for most of the match Puma fighting out from the bottom, the underdog, especially when he was trailing 4-1 at a certain point in this match. And this is where we start to also see, after it gets tied up, Johnny Mundo hit that next gear and take it as seriously, because now he knows he doesn't have that luxury of having a couple pins on him, you know? So that level of emotion between both those guys, and like I've talked about earlier in this episode, earlier in our run of reviews, that difference and their ability to have that really good chemistry with one another, where neither of them really have to say a word during the match for you to be able to feel the importance of it to each of those guys. And just that last flurry where finally Puma came out ahead felt very triumphant. Similar to, or not similar, but I mean, kind of with what you said about that 6:30, it just felt the best. And of watching Ricochet, of watching Prince Puma and other matches, this one felt the best, felt like the most successful.
Absolutely, and I thought that this was really well done. It made sense throughout the night. It did a great job storytelling. It was paced almost perfectly. I don't know how much I would have changed, honestly, with anything. I thought it was kind of funny to have Patron kind of take up some time on the mic through that, but it was
Yeah,
like that was the one thing where I'm like, oh, okay, this is just kind of weird. But like
he was popular back then.
well,
that was sure
I
to
meant
have gotten a pop from the
oh
crowd.
yeah, I meant more so like someone didn't immediately take that distraction and get a pin from that.
They were too
Well,
tired. That's the
like
justification there.
yeah, but it was a very cool thing to watch. I thought this episode was brilliant. And they really did a great job of carrying an entire show on a single match, and that's hard to do. Like the other time I've seen, like WWE occasionally has done it with gauntlet matches, especially that one like Seth Rollins did and Kofi did, like a few like last year. The Kurt Angle Brock Iron Man match. There's just such good shiz, and with that, Angie, let everybody know where they can find you.
All right, I am part of two shows based out of Hawaii. First one is Mid Card Mana. That is myself and my tag team partner, Sam Killer, the wrestling connoisseur. And we do some reviews of shows. We do some unboxing videos. He just did an unboxing video with his daughter, Allison, the world champ, as we like to call her. And they just got the new AEW figures that finally came to my hometown. It took weeks, actually. I think about a little over a month until it finally got here, from when it really got released on the mainland. And then the second show is Valley Isle Collective's Ringside, and I cannot remember what the main guy's pseudonym is, but on our group chat, he's called Big Sexy, the Big Mac Killer. So he and I are the only ones that I think have been on almost every single one. And we do a little bit goofier, as our name suggests, talk a little bit more about the funnier side of wrestling, and we just call each other out on our ship. And I am Fumiko Mega on any, and I think almost all social media that's wrestling related.
And I'm here having an existential crisis at youtube.com/BriscoeFlame if you're watching the video. If you're listening to this online, you can find us by searching for Underground Lucha Things on your favorite podcast app. You can find me at Frisco Flame or at R Felix Finch across many different platforms. Try one of those. One of them will work. And yeah, you can go to Etsy, type Frisco Flame, go to my shop, friscoflame.com. Check out Shiz. But you know what, people? For myself, for Angie, peace out, party peoples. We will see you next time with more Underground Lucha Things. And probably more than one match.